A very good evening to you all and welcome from me, Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, to our first edition of News Tonight here on UBC TV this Tuesday, the 13th day of June 2023. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. Stories tonight. The Office of the NRM Chairperson organizes prayers for His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Government withdraws all charges against Omusinga Mumbere, Kasese district in ecstasy. Electoral Commission Chairman Justice Byabakama cautions security in the Bukedea election. And in sports, Buganda Kingdom Sports and Recreation Minister Henry Sekabembe Kiberu inaugurates a new committee. Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Now, the Office of the NRM Chairman and President has organized a prayer for President Museveni's recovery from COVID-19. The prayers at the presidential offices in Kyambogo were attended by various people, including religious leaders, politicians, tax groups and the public. We have more in this story.
Since President Yoweri Museveni announced that he has been diagnosed with COVID-19 and went into self-isolation, various people and bodies have been sending messages praying for quick recovery. Today, the National Resistance Movement Chairperson's office in Kyambogo, led by Hajat Hadija Namyalo, organized a prayer service for President Museveni's quick recovery, led by Reverend Canon Rebecca Nyegenye from All Saint Church and Deputy Mufti Sheikh Muhammad Waiswa. The religious leaders said that God often brings trials to his people to further strengthen them in faith.
All you who believe, seek help in patience and prayer. Verily, Allah is with the patient.
But troubled with the illness of our beloved President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Lord our God, who cured the chronic and tormented.
All of us were to be removed from ekyo kyekisooka naye bwe tumala okutya tetusigalira mu kutya tumala ne tuyita Mukama ekyo tulaba Jehoshaphat kye yakola.
Hajat Hadija Namyalo, the head of the presidential office, appealed to the Creator to heal the president because Uganda still needs him at this time.
Advocate of self-empowerment, we pray he gives more wealth to His Excellency so that he can bring back to us the grandchildren of this nation.
The NRM Central Executive Committee member Gaddafi Nasul and Zaire Sedrak Kaguta and others sent a message to President Museveni to get well soon.
Tabawo Mukama Katonda amwongere amaanyi, amwongere obuvumu okulwanisa ensonga chairman Nzeire zaayogeddeko.
Takyali mbuzibu tumwerakirira mukole emirimu gyammwe naye ali kumpi kutandika emirimu gye.
Later, various people wrote messages wishing President Museveni a speedy recovery and resumption of his duties. Joseph Muyingo, UBC News.
And of course, we do wish President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni a quick recovery. To Kasese district now, where Kasese district has grown into joy and jubilation following the announcement of the release of Omusinga wa Rwenzururu, King Charles Wesley Mumbere, Irema Ngoma and co-accused. It follows government withdrawal of all charges against the accused after they applied for amnesty. Residents thronged Kasese municipality streets, drumming and dancing into the exhibit of their happiness. Leaders in the district appreciated President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for the gesture. Omusinga Mumbere was arrested in 2016 along with more than 200 of his subjects and has since been under movement restrictions in Kampala. Immediately after the ruling, The remains of the palace bombing, which have since been under siege, have also been left free following the pronouncement of the withdrawal of the king's charges. Take a watch.
In Kasese is jubilation. Jubilation is what I see here. And I am glad that the people are not asking questions how, why. All they are concerned with is the freedom of our people and our king. That is what is paramount right now in Kasese.
Very happy with the decision, the resolution of court, when they have resolved that the king, the charges are dropped, all the charges of the king are dropped.
I am thanking the president for being a parent, because all along, as leaders from Kasese, we have been requesting that the president should pardon our king.
News for Kasese. People as their king has been let free. Now, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Justice Simon Byabakama, has challenged security agencies to observe maximum respect for human rights in the course of their duty during the Wednesday, 14th June 2023 by-election for the LC5 Bukedea district. Byabakama was convening all stakeholders in Bukedea ahead of the Wednesday by-election. We have more in this story.
Candidates agents, in case any have joined us.
With just a few hours left to the Bukedea District LC5 by-election, the chairperson Electoral Commission of Uganda, Justice Simon Byabakama, is in the district to oversee the final preparations.
We want to thank and commend the candidates for having conducted a generally peaceful campaign. At least I did not hear of any abnormality or any incident or ugly incident, unlike the nomination there.
In this meeting held at Bukedea District Headquarters, in attendance were agents for the contestants, registrars, security heads, among others.
The tally center is not open to whom it may concern. It is only accessed, or it will only be accessed by people who have been accredited to the tally center.
For the election observers, according to the commission, there is only one job to do during this exercise.
Remember what is required of you as an observer. We've already sent out the guidelines, and I hope you are conversant with your guidelines as an observer. Your role as an observer is simply what that word means, observe.
Justice Byabakama, however, notes that the process should be conducted in line with the country's laws.
Let us abide by the law, and let us play our role of being an unbiased referee. Let us be professional. Let us act in accordance with the law and be an unbiased referee. That's why we are here.
The electoral staff, especially bad timekeepers during such exercise, were not spared.
Have not come here of your own volition or choice. You have been assigned by your employer to this task, and you are given instructions on what to do. For you, you choose to do something else. So please, let us live up to the trust and confidence that has been bestowed in us.
In his concluding remarks, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission castigated security operatives, especially police, for its high-handedness during such moments, and rather cautioned them to provide a fair ground for all parties and non-participants.
The Commission appeals to candidates, their agents and supporters to conduct themselves in accordance with the law and the guidelines as issued by the Commission for these by-elections. We should all work together to achieve a credible outcome. We want to call upon the voters. Maybe I will say some of the things if I have. Do I have a radio talk show this evening? I talked some of these things. But now,
remember when we were in Kagoma, all our staff were there, and RPC then there failed to deliver, and we delayed.
We have the capacity to patrol this whole district of Bukadea.
For all the participating camps, they are all convinced that the best will be on their side come Wednesday, 14th June 2023. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Meanwhile, police have beefed up security in Bukedea district ahead of the Wednesday, 14th June 2023 LC5 by-election. All the 60,000 eligible voters will exercise their constitutional right to elect a leader of their choice.
Over 60,000 registered voters in Bukedea district will on Wednesday, 14th June 2023, turn up at different polling stations to cast votes in a by-election for District LC5 chairperson. Security in the district has been beefed up.
For the LC5 chairperson of Bukedea, the Uganda Police Force is ready, both in terms of human and non-human resource.
The East Cholga police spokesperson, Oscar Agecha, told the media conference that all is set for the election.
We have deployed both human and non-human resource. The non-human resources are the motor vehicles, the cars, the patrol vans, the trucks. Those are the non-human. Then the human resource, we have the Uganda police personnel on ground. So those ones are there to make sure those are the things like voter bribery, intimidation, don't happen.
But part of the public is concerned about the deployment, although police rally their fears.
Requires a special attention and consideration, and as such, it falls within the purview of the Uganda Police Force and specifically East Cholga Regional Police Command to make sure it is peaceful. And we are going to make sure it is peaceful.
However, police call for calm for the smooth running of the voting process.
I want to request the candidates, the electorates, the agents, and those who have interest in elections, that for us we shall ensure that everyone's right as enshrined under the law are obeyed. And we ask them therefore to respect the rights. For those that fail to respect the rights, they shall be subject to arrest and arraignment for the courts of law.
Following a successful campaign period, the electorate of Bukedea district seem ready for the Wednesday, 14th June 2023 election exercise.
The whole campaign period has been very peaceful, apart from one or two incidences which happened during nomination. But otherwise, the whole campaign period, we have not recorded any incident, and as such, we expect the same to continue until completion of the electoral process.
Now let's go back to Kasese a little bit, and of course that is about the news, good news I should say, about the release of the king of the Rwenzururu people, and that is King Charles Wesley Mumbere. And of course this follows the International War Crimes Division court in Kololo withdrawing the offences of, among others, treason and terrorism against King Charles Wesley Mumbere of Rwenzururu in Kasese and 218 of his subjects. Prosecution asked court to discontinue the hearing following an application of amnesty filed by the accused to the office of the DPP, which court granted. Take a watch.
For 7 years, Omusinga wa Rwenzururu Charles Wesley Mumbere and 220 others have been in court facing offences of treason, murder, aggravated robbery among others, which prosecutions were committed in Kasese in 2016. The accused, some of whom appeared in court physically and others on Zoom for the pre-trial conferencing of the offences against them. Justice Iscom Hanchkauka presided over the matter. Prosecution led by Lilian Omara said that although the matter was meant for information and pre-trial conferencing, she had instructions from the Director of Public Prosecutions to halt the trial proceedings indefinitely.
The DPP is facilitating the process, my lord. In that regard, my lord, the DPP has entered a nolle prosecute for purposes of having the proceedings against them discontinued.
This followed the 218 accused persons to ask for amnesty from the office of the DPP unlike 2 of them whose proceedings were maintained.
218 accused persons for amnesty, and the DPP is not opposing the application.
Yes, once the Director of Public Prosecutions enters a nolle prosequi in respect of accused persons and in respect of particular charges, it means that criminal proceedings against them have been terminated. So that's the end of the matter for each one of those ones on the nolle prosequi.
Judge Iscom Hanji granted and discharged all the offences against King Mumbere and his subjects.
Intending that proceedings against Mumbere Charles Wesley and 217 others shall not continue. The accused persons on remand are accordingly discharged and hereby released unless they are held on other lawful charges.
The defense lawyers led by Makasi Alfred were pleased with court's decision.
In all this, I want to first thank the government, which has accepted to withdraw the charges. At least for now, 218 suspects who are now walking to their freedom is out of those negotiations. The government has finally accepted to withdraw and has withdrawn.
However, one of the accused, the former Prime Minister of Rwenzururu Thembo Kitumbire, whose proceedings were maintained, cited that he was unaware of what criteria was used for him to remain with the charges.
What you have heard today is also news to me. I have never applied for amnesty, except I have been applying for being freed without condition. That one I have been applying.
According to Omusinga Mumbere's lawyers, anytime Omusinga will go back to Kasese.
At home is a joyful, jubilant situation. People are jumping up and people are celebrating. People are so happy with what has happened.
Omusinga Charles Wesley Mumbere and his over 200 subjects were accused of the mass killings in Kasese that left many people dead in 2016, among other offences. Court resumes on the 11th of July 2023 to proceed with prosecuting Rwenzururu former Prime Minister Thembo Kitumbire and Masereka Kamada, who didn't apply for amnesty. Rebecca Nantongo, UBC News.
At 10 a.m. formation.
Very good news then as far as Kasese is concerned. Now, Deputy Speaker of Parliament Thomas Tayebwa has launched the Parliamentary Forum on Labour, Decent Employment and Productivity. Now, this will allow for the enactment of an independent law on migrant workers to protect both the interests of the workers and the employers. Tayebwa tasked the forum to start working on a bill on migrant employment and revision of the Pay as You Earn.
We are intending to promote economic and social reintegration and providing remedies for the stressed workforce.
Migrant workers are vulnerable to violation of rights due to limited access to protection and justice. Uganda, being one of those countries exporting labor, has experienced a violation of rights of migrant workers, especially those in casual labor.
There has been a big challenge. Some people, yes, go make some money, but they are psychologically stressed.
The chairperson of the Parliamentary Forum on Labour, Decent Employment and Productivity, Ronald Ndiomjenyi, says the forum is focusing on bridging the employment gaps in the migrant sector, prohibition of human trafficking and child labour.
We can prohibit human trafficking, child labor, and unsafe working conditions.
Decent employment not only contributes to high productivity, but also contributes to one's well-being. Notably, there is an increase in exploitation and forced labor, especially of migrant workers.
Such exploitations consist of increasing instances of victims of human trafficking.
The country director, International Organization for Migration, says all countries need proper employment strategies and independent labor policies.
It is crucial to acknowledge the critical role of the parliaments in shaping labor-related policies, enacting legislations, and ensuring their effective implementation.
Decent job creation. Pillar 2, its rights at work, social protection of workers.
The Minister for Gender in charge of Children's Affairs, Sarah Mateke, says the government is in the process of implementing all programs on proper employment.
I call upon the members of the forum to understand the huge mandate of the ministry, enforcement of labor standards in this country.
While launching the Parliamentary Forum on Labour, Decent Employment and Productivity, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taiwa, says there is need for an effective and legal link between the employers and the employees.
We look at employers as partners. Because I've seen most of the debate we have, the side of employers are doing this, but can we look at them as partners?
Taiwa tasked the forum to start working on the private members' bill on migrant employment and a revision of pay as you earn.
We need a separate law on migrant labor. And I've seen, of course, we introduced a chapter in the employment bill, but that chapter was not satisfactory.
He says Uganda is the only country in East Africa with the highest charge on pay as you earn, which highly impacts on the employee's income. Effective migration regulations and quality employment is essential for a decent well-being. Susan Naung and Gloria Guitabinji reporting for ABC TV.
Jerry con. Jerry con. Hey, Master Blaster. Touch him, man. Buy Jerry can with muscle. Those ones who say go for you only. Mundawa. Best groups I teach you. When I go with the muscari, because of the cover that is very far. Is you serious? Is serious you? What? Yeah? You stay with your needs. Add kilometers to your legs and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru and Umaru refuse to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you.
Okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
The Ministry of Health will conduct yellow fever preventive mass vaccination campaign for all persons aged 9 months up to 60 years. These people should have never been vaccinated against yellow fever. The yellow fever campaign will be conducted in phases, with the first phase covering districts in the regions of Arua, Gulu, Lira, Kabare, Kabarore, and Hoima. The campaign will begin on the 9th of June and end on the 13th of June 2023 and will be conducted in all government health facilities and outreach posts. All parents and caregivers are requested to take their children aged 9 months to the nearest health facility and outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever disease. All adults aged up to 60 years but have never been vaccinated should go to health facilities and vaccination outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever. Ministry of Health calls upon everybody to report any person who presents with signs and symptoms such as yellowing of eyes, fever, headache, muscle pain, feeling of vomiting or nausea, vomiting, and general body weakness or fatigue to the nearest health facility or health worker immediately for medical attention. This could be yellow fever. Yellow fever vaccine is a single dose given once in a lifetime. The yellow fever vaccine is safe, effective, and free. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from Gavi and partners.
Glow as you are with the new Spark 10 series smartphone from Airtel in partnership with Tecno. Own the timelines with picture-perfect selfies using the 32-megapixel selfie camera, 256GB storage, G88 gaming processor.
The Spark 10 smartphone comes with free 3GB from Airtel, so you can stay connected to a world of possibilities. Dial *100*5# to enjoy free data.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
In partnership with Tecno. Stop at nothing.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mold Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
Dear Airtel customer, we know that there are days when unexpected stays in hospital stand in the way of your family's welfare. That is why Hospital Center is here to give you up to 100,000 shillings every night you spend in hospital. Hospital Center also offers up to 4 million in funeral benefit. Dial star 185 star 7 star 6 hash to purchase Hospital Center on Airtel Money for as little as 1,000, 3,000 or 5,000 shillings a month. Your cover for the first 1 month is free. Hospital Center is underwritten by Prudential and powered by Turaco. Prudential and Turaco are regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. Airtel Money is regulated by the Bank of Uganda.
The land take for development of Tilenga, Kingfisher and East Africa crude oil pipeline projects in Uganda is approximately 6,900 acres with close to 10,000 project-affected persons. The compensation process involves an inclusive and participatory resettlement action plan study that provides for cash payment, physical resettlement, and livelihood improvement packages for the affected persons. 90% of all the project-affected persons have been fully compensated. 200 replacement houses have been constructed and handed over.
Ngati Agnes Mfanazo. Aberu ma auto beru kabesendra wanyaru lum. Agera or lum top. Onele podu pio. Ejuga majigera otma eni matinani iye maleng adonga chopo poringo kumacha sente dano wangu moko ola nyeo kodole moko machalo dielde moko konyo kodawi school nyekwaya gibeteka somo de.
Communities are also engaged in vocational skills, agriculture, financial literacy programs, employment, and contracting opportunities to improve their livelihoods and grow community content. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda, creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Now, IGAD member countries are considering integration of policies to address the challenges posed by refugees on a continental scale rather than relying solely on donor relief. Ministers from 8 IGAD member countries are attending a 3-day high-level ministerial conference in Kampala to develop response plans for refugees in IGAD countries.
IGAD member states are actively exploring durable solutions to tackle the refugee crisis. The conference aims to develop specialized response plans that are not reliant on donor assistance.
Financial challenges, dwindling resources because of the global crisis which continue to affect us, COVID pandemic and the wars that we see in the globe.
For a long time we have had a small donor base who are funding all the crises around the world, and this is not sustainable. We have to find other means, like I said, including internal source of funding. We have many institutions and individuals who are capable.
But I think that as African people, we need to find our own resources, which are plenty by the way on this continent, to be able to address our issues.
Uganda hosts over 1.5 million refugees and leads in East Africa. It is prioritizing efforts to empower refugees to self-reliance by providing access to cultivable land, education, and socio-economic transformation initiatives.
as a means of livelihood. They were using guns as a means of livelihood to survive, but this time we armed them with skills in order to survive positively. We are looking at all these. When they go back to their country, they should contribute to their socio-economic development.
Member states propose the harmonization of policies regarding refugee response plans with a focus on the political, social and economic integration of migrants.
To have the political confederation so that we can plan together on the same table. But when each country is planning for their own things, they have their priorities. Priorities may be roads, education, it may not be climate change, it may not be issues of refugees.
Political stability is a key concern for IGAD member states, aiming to minimize both regular and irregular movement of people across borders.
And international partners in formulating sustainable labor market and livelihood responses and initiatives in governance frameworks on access to labor markets, economic and employment policies for inclusive labor markets, labor rights and equality of opportunity and treatment, partnerships, coordination, coherence, voluntary repatriation and induction of returnees, and additional pathways for labor mobility.
Some governments don't tolerate opposition, and they clamp down on them, and these people run to exile. And they find it easy to run to Uganda because we are peaceful here. So those are the intolerance I'm talking about.
The objective offers a design to a comprehensive policy framework that addresses refugee matters and establishes a common mechanism for refugee management. Abdul Nasser Lobwama and Komagum Rogers for UBC.
Now, the Supreme Court has ordered for a retrial in High Court on issues of facts in the case businessman Hamis Chigundu had filed against Diamond Trust Bank, Uganda and Kenya. However, on the issue of illegalities, the court was of the view that there was no law brought or cited to the attention of this court which forbids the creation of the impugned syndicated agency relationship entered into between DTB Uganda and Kenya.
Hamis Chigundu, in filing this case, raised 7 grounds citing that Justices of Court of Appeal Eladin Landfact, in delivering their judgment in the case he had filed against DTB Uganda and DTB Kenya. Justices in this matter include Chief Justice Alfonso Munyidolo, Faith Monda, Pase Knight Tuhaise, Justice Stephen Musota, and Justice Mike Chibita. Justices said there was no law brought or cited to the attention of this court forbidding the creation of the impugned syndicated agency relationship between DTB Uganda and Kenya.
This is because the first respondent is responsible for the disbursements of the funds from the second respondent to the appellants, holds the mortgaged loan securities in trust for the second respondent. Similarly, no law was brought to this court's attention that forbids foreign financial institutions from extending credit facilities to any financial institution or person in Uganda.
Court also ordered that such syndicated transactions, which were done by DTB Uganda to Hamis Chigundu, are not governed by the laws of Financial Institute Acts in Uganda.
I can't see how this arrangement and the transactions that were carried out pursuant thereto could be construed to mean that the second respondent carried out financial institution business in Uganda within the meaning ascribed to the phrase financial institution business. In the case of Uganda, such international financial business transactions are certainly neither governed by the Financial Institutions Act of 2004 as amended, nor the Financial Institutions Agent Banking Regulations of 2017.
On the grounds that Justices Eladin Landfact, when they abandoned the grounds of appeal by introducing new grounds, Supreme Court ruled otherwise.
I am unable to fault the Court of Appeal for in the exercise of its duty to re-evaluate proceedings of the trial court, noting glaring errors in the procedure adopted by the trial judge, the determination of which it deemed might have a bearing on the decisions of the trial judge.
Therefore, court ordered a retrial and also ordered Amiss Kigundu to pay costs of 50% for both Court of Appeal and Supreme Court.
The issue of illegality having been resolved in this appeal, which was the genesis of the appeal to the Court of Appeal and ultimately to this court, is remitted back to the High Court for trial before another judge, basing only on issues of fact.
Amiss Kigundu's lawyer failed to arrest the judgment as court overruled their prayers.
In fact, the Supreme Court has confirmed that the transaction was illegal because it is not supported by law. But they say, since it is a syndicated loan, which the same court has not quoted any law supporting it, that it should go ahead, which we think is wrong. Because, as you have seen, we had applied to this same court to adduce evidence of illegality. But the Supreme Court has refused and has said, don't talk about that. And we are not happy with the decision, but we accept it. We shall go back to the lower court and argue.
The appellant Amiss Kigundu this time round didn't appear in court, though his supporters expressed dissatisfaction.
Seriously, as Ugandans, as you're seeing, the people here, they're not happy at all. Things are not good. DTB Bank is not being fair. We are advocating for justice. We would want Mr. President to intervene. This is our petition, and Ugandans, the members have signed upon it. So we require you to please come have a way in this, and we find justice.
DTB Uganda and DTB Kenya were represented by lawyer Edward Karugire. Amiss Kigundu claims that DTB Kenya illegally withdrew 120 billion from his account without his consent in form of paying a loan he had borrowed from DTB Uganda. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Has given the project-affected persons 1.5 months ultimatum to vacate the marked areas for oil and gas developments to proceed. According to Ruth Nankabirwa, the Minister for Energy and Mineral Development, those not willing to be compensated, absentee landlords and those in land ownership wrangles will be handled by the courts of law as the project implementation goes ahead. From the Albertine Graben region, here is our reporter Dennis Igor with more.
The local community in Bulisa district who are blocking the oil and gas activities in the Tilenga project area will not be tolerated anymore, wants Ruth Nankabirwa, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development.
I'm giving you only up to July 31st. July ends with 31st. July 31st. All those who have refused to take this money, I'm giving you July 31st. It is your right to go to court. Go to court, and then the court will take a decision. But for us, we are going to access your land, and we are going to pay the money that the government valuer has valued. We are going to pay that money in court.
While handing out 105 houses to Tilenga project-affected persons, Nankabirwa underscored the importance of the oil and gas project in Uganda's social and economic growth aspirations.
We are going to put money in court. When you finish your disputes, you will come to us. We cannot afford not to have our oil by 2025 because of these disputes.
All the beneficiary households are assisted by Total Energies ENP Uganda to acquire freehold land titles. Total Energies top management and local leaders from Bulisa are convinced that efforts to restore livelihood and compensate PAPs will create positive impact and shared value.
Total Energies EP Uganda is fully committed to help developing Ugandan resources for a shared prosperity, in compliance with national regulation, with the United Nations Guiding Principle on Business and Human Rights, and with the most stringent IFC performance standards.
Yeah, we have people who have land, but the advent of oil and gas in Bulisa district
or in the Nyoro sub-region or in the country has been able to see people in this region getting land titles, which is not the case with the rest of the people that own land in this place. So this is a very big plus on our side, and also want to appreciate government for this very important initiative, because now that is a very serious security for our people that now they own land.
The 105 houses are part of the planned 205 resettlement houses worth $10 million being built in the districts of Hoima, Bulisa, and Chikube. They comprise of 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms, a seating area, veranda, outside kitchen, rainwater harvesting tank, among others. Meanwhile, Mr. Nankabirwa and other stakeholders have toured the Tilenga industrial area and the Ngiri rig area to get abreast with the upstream oil and gas developments. The ultimatum issued by the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, in Bulisa district signifies government commitment and seriousness to have its first oil in the international market in the year 2025. Dennis Igor for UBC News in Bulisa district.
Oil and gas sector. Let's have a look now at the health sector, where at least 400 women out of every 1,000 in Kakumiro and Kagadi districts have tested positive for cervical cancer since 2017. Now, this follows a Kampala meeting with stakeholders from the Ministry of Health by Uganda Rural Development and Training Program to advocate for the integration of cervical cancer services into the healthcare system.
Research shows that 400 women out of every 1,000 living in Kagadi and Kakumiro districts have tested positive for cervical cancer. In an engagement with stakeholders from the Ministry of Health, a coordinator of cervical cancer projects at Uganda Rural Development and Training Program, Lucy Kansime, says there is need to integrate cervical cancer services into the data services in the healthcare system.
Our future plan is to also provide male services at the facilities so that they feel also more engaged in health facilities, because sometimes the challenge we meet, the questions we meet in the facility is, what about male?
Uganda Rural Development and Training Program has built capacity for nurses and village health teams in the health system to provide awareness since the project is closing.
Most facilities in our health center 3 level, they don't have enough space for cervical cancer screening. You find when a nurse is using the labor suit for at some time doing the cervical cancer screening. So a woman, when she comes for labor, the cervical cancer screening is put on hold. They attend to this emergency.
The Acting Commissioner Health Services, Nursing and Midwifery Services at the Ministry of Health, Agnes Chanda Bako, says a comprehensive approach of involving males helps to understand the magnitude of the problem. On the other hand, availing information to adolescents will reduce the risk because they are sexually active.
So when we give them information at that time, we can discuss the areas surrounding their sexual reproductive health issues and be able to answer some of the things which remains a dark area for them. Then they can control, take charge of their sexual reproductive health system.
The board chair, Uganda Rural Development and Training Program, Dr. Mwalimu Musheshe, says every mother accessing labor must be assessed and monitored for cervical cancer.
It is a silent killer. Many people are not talking about it. And even then, there was stigmatization about female cancer, which causes at times what we call domestic violence.
Evidence documentation was also emphasized for proper records. So that Kaye, UBC News.
A Uganda Nurses and Midwives Examinations Board, UNMEB, has raised fears over the emerging unqualified nurses and midwife schools due to lack of science laboratories and equipment for practicals, resulting into poor performance in final examinations. This was during a press conference following the announcement of the end of semester examinations, which has entered day 2 across the country.
Nurses and midwives across the country at certificate and diploma levels have entered day 2 of their end-of-semester exams that started yesterday. A total of 51,286 students are sitting, of whom 7,802 are at diploma level and 43,484 at certificate level in 118 sitting centers. The Uganda Nurses and Midwives Examinations Board UNIMEB officials have commended government for its support in enabling the board function.
We collaborate with the Ministry of Health because the majority of examiners are from Ministry of Health.
However, they urged government to take action against the mushrooming nurses and midwife schools but do not meet the requirements, especially when it comes to having science laboratories and equipment as far as practicals are concerned.
So many people want to open nurses and midwifery training schools, yet some of them don't have the requirements. And they end up pushing some of these students into legal training schools, which is not good because they compromise the quality of training and the standards.
This, in the end, affects the performance of the candidates, both in their end-of-semester exams and at their workplaces.
Nursing and midwifery is a practical course whereby students have to get hands-on training, but you find that many training institutions do not have adequate equipment in their skills laboratories, and to make matters worse, even in the hospitals where they train from, some of these equipments are not there. So that is a big challenge on us as assessors, because for us we assess the curriculum as it is, but you find that what we need to assess is not there as expected.
They also made a clarification on the status of doctors and nurses who are currently waiting for their internship program.
But for us, we examine the senior 6 who have gone for diploma, and also certificate nurses who have finished senior 4. And fortunately, we don't have internship within the cadre that we graduate. But we are sorry for what is happening to the university, because these children have been taught and they are graduating. They should go for internship. They are not able to go to internship because the students are many.
We have visited some of the training institutions in Kampala, including Mulago School of Nursing and Midwifery, Mengo School of Nursing and Midwifery, and Chibuli School of Nursing and Midwifery, and found them in the process.
We started well with them. We didn't have any problem. The school staff prepared them very well.
For today, we have 352 candidates for the different programs, finalists and the continuing students.
We as tutors will do our level best to make sure that we cover the whole course outline so that the students are ready to sit for their UNIMEB examinations.
These are the 35th semester level exams, and 123 colleges are participating in the program. Jethro Kasaiji, Tone Senaburia, UBC News.
And return with the latest business.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something, but the most important qualification is imagination. His reason is to be the GOAT. The reason to imagine is to take the beat and make it lit. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mould Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mould Technologies, your professional research firm.
At
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Mbara and Jinja.
MTN Uganda presents Saka Freeballs, King of the East, also recognized by the Kabaka of Buganda.
Palazzo
in Laves on the 9th of June at the Cricket Oval. 20k ordinary, 50 dialing *165 *98 for 15k ordinary and 45k VIP. On Saturday the 10th of June, Mbara Ajip Motel. Sunday 11th of June, Fort Portal Grounds. Friday 16th of June, Luwero Grounds. Saturday 17th of June, Ginger Trans Garden. Sunday 18th of June, Mubende Stadium. Organized by Savavulu Badam. Come and witness the best concert of a new generation. Miss at your own risk. Sponsored by Pepsi Cola, Century Property Royal Estate, Mango Safari, Protea Hotel, Radio Bow, and MTN.
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at the latest in business. Uganda's economy has demonstrated notable resilience amidst predictable global economic dynamics. Inflationary pressures are easing and economic recovery is underway despite ongoing uncertainty and evolving risks in the global economy. It is with this that during its meeting on the 13th of June 2023, the Monetary Policy Committee maintained the central bank rate at 10%. Mark Arnold Wadulo reports.
Annual headline on core inflation decreased to 6.2% and 5.6% in May 2023 from 8% and 6.8% in April 2023 respectively.
We still have some uncertainties that we're faced with, and also the current inflation projections remain sensitive to elevated risks. So in other words, we need to ensure that this level of elevated risks are kind of like contained before we begin lowering the CBR. So it is the uncertainties in the context of the elevated risks where we are being very cautious that we don't want to begin lowering the CBR at this time, because if these risks materialize, then it means, right, that we will again be back onto the inflationary trend.
Annual inflation for electricity, fuel and utilities receded to 0.9% in May from 2.1% in April 2023. Inflation for goods including imported items declined to 7.4% in May from 8.8% in April 2023. Also, services inflation has remained low, averaging at 4.2% since January 2023.
The prices are still rising, but the rate is coming down. So it is still affecting the cost of living. And that's why we're saying that we need to bring down this inflation to the medium-term objective of 5%, which is supportive of economic growth of about 6 to 7%. And it's when we achieve that 6 to 7% with inflation of 5%, that's where we think that the cost of living will possibly come to what is reasonable.
Actually, we have to be sincere that there are some items that we know for sure that really have come down. For example, fuel prices. Remember, I think it was last year when the farm prices rose up to around 7,000 per litre of petrol. Since I think we can see now that fuel prices have come down to around 500 shillings, 5,000 shillings per litre, which is really a decline. So overall, we can see in the basket of the household consumption basket, you can see that there are some clear items whose prices have come down and therefore partly contributing the cost of living.
However, the downside risks to the inflation outlook include potentially lower global cost and commodity price pressures, minimization of global supply constraints, favorable weather conditions, and sustained unused economic capacity. Nevertheless, the economic growth outlook remains highly uncertain, with the balance of risks leaning towards the downside. The potential downside risks include protracted weak global growth and lower commodity prices, constraining Uganda's export earnings and widening the current account deficit. A resurgence of supply chain distortions due to geopolitical tensions and fragmentation. Potentially lower external concessional financing could restrict government expenditure. High public debt burden could weaken the local currency, limit government's borrowing capacity, and slow foreign investor flows. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News in Kampala.
Sports news now, and we're looking at football, and changes have been formulated in the FUFA Drum tournament to accommodate new teams and terms of play. The prestigious regional tournament returns with draws held at FUFA House in Mengo. Eamon Ngabo has more on that.
The edition of the FUFA Drum has been launched with the draws of the competition also conducted. The edition comes with several changes, including increase in the number of games from 36 played last year to 42, with a final to be played on a one-leg basis. Based on last year's performance, the best 8 provinces get by at the first round. West Nile, Lango, Acholi, Toro, Buganda, Kampala, Teso and Bugisu all get a bye in the first round, while the 8 provinces that did not make it to the quarterfinals last year were randomly paired and will play at the first round.
One of the reasons we did the 2-legged final in the previous editions is because we had no stadium that would house the kind of crowds anticipated in a drum final, especially where you get the big teams. With Nambol expected to come on board in November and Nachivubo expected to come on board later this year. So we think that there will be enough ground to hold the crowds, even if the top provinces qualify. And we also think that we need to give an opportunity, not just the fans of the 2 provinces in the finals, but also other fans that may not be able to travel across the country to chase the first leg or the second leg in one final. And with the partners that we have, we think that we can create a kind of experience that we so desire and that the fans so desire.
Since its inception in 2018, the FUFA Drum continues to grow both in the number of teams competing as well as covering the entire country. Ngabo Emon reporting for UBC TV.
And that sports story brings us to the end of this first edition of News Tonight here on UBC TV. Thank you so much for having kept us company. Do remember that our second and final edition of News Tonight comes your way at 10 p.m. My name is Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, and see you at 10.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.